Well, I think fall has officially arrived in the bluegrass. It is a chilly morning and it looks like we might get some rain. Sometimes I'm surprised by the weather. And I'm going to turn around and show you all. Look at that, beautiful. The colors that are there. We've got the cows across the way there. The sun is back there, hiding behind the clouds. Anyway, nothing like fresh air, freshly produced by all these lovely trees and vegetation. God's like the miracle all around us. And we take it for granted. It's so normal to us, we take it for granted. Paul, 1 Corinthians, the letter to the church of Corinth, chapter 7. He goes into some details and he starts off this letter saying, look, you guys asked me for my opinion, so here it is. This is not law or direction from God. This is my opinion, saying the best I can. Remember, he's almost laid the stage for this. Like, look, I'm just doing the best I can. I am not God. I'm doing my best to interpret, be the Holy Spirit, be the messenger, understand. But at the end of the day, I'm Paul, a human. So he kind of says that at the beginning of the chapter. Y'all have asked for me for some advice in this area. And he goes specifically, I guess he was asked a question about marriage. Maybe, is it good to be married? What if we don't love each other? You know, like, sounds like there was probably a series of questions about marriage and relationships. But what I'm going to pull out, and he actually talked about in there, was a concept of what we call now in our modern language, codependency. He's like, I don't want you getting attached to this and that and what you buy and even people, because that distracts you from your mission, your purpose. Not only is it a distraction, but it keeps you living in the world, which it's hard to be fully in the world and consumed by other people, possessions, emotions, and be like doing what you were called here to do. Yes. And this has been yours truly's main underlying issue. I think my picture should be in the book, or Melody Beattie is an author who's written a lot about this. And it's a pervasive, very destructive issue that a lot of people have, and they don't even know they have it or suffer from it, or whatnot, because it is so normal. It's a dysfunctional pattern of behavior and a way of relating, not just to other people, but to life in general, and that causes a lot of suffering, and that we don't even know that we have a choice about. I was like, what? So then we go and we seek comforting behaviors, like maybe drinking or eating or numbing out, shopping, decorating our homes. Not that any of those things in and of themselves are bad until they get taken to the point of, I need to do this to feel better. I'm dependent on it. So codependency, a codependent relationship with life, leads you down the path of codependency with even more. Like, it's a vicious, like, snowball that starts off maybe small and kind of innocent and maybe even feels good, and then it just gets bigger and gathers momentum, and then you're like overwhelmed. So if you have feelings of anxiety, overwhelmed, it's too much, I can't do it all, you might be codependent. There's your sign, as Jeff Foxworthy might say. Or is it the Yeah, I think he's that comedian. There's your sign. So, what is codependency in a nutshell? I can't be happy unless XYZ. That's codependency. I can't be happy unless you're happy. I can't be happy unless I have the right house, car, job, whatever it is. That is giving your power away, is what it is. Like you're giving your ability to have agency and choice with your own feelings and your own life based on a lot of times another person, or having and acquiring something, or even acquiring a feeling, or getting even too attached. Some of us are overtaken sometimes by negative emotions, and it's so overwhelming that we identify with them. And the more we fixate on them, the more we identify with them, we can even become codependent with negative emotions. Paul uses the word weeping and joy. I don't want you to get too attached to either one, because then it blocks you focusing on God. It's like, I need to feel this way. I need to feel that way. That's why I even said it's a broader dependence and a relationship with life itself, and the circumstances of life here on earth in the physical realm. And he says, I want you all to be free. And y'all, I have spent the last 2 years, I'm not kidding, on doing this deeper work myself, because as soon as I got that alcohol out of the way, I was like, oh, this is my problem. This is why I'm drinking. This is why I needed to have the wine at night, because I was taking on, and what this does when you're codependent, when you say, I can't feel good, have peace, be happy, whatever whatever you're seeking that's dependent on something outside, is that you are then kind of being held hostage by that. Like, and then that feels very overwhelming. And again, it's dependent on something outside of yourself that you often have no control over. But what that creates in you is a responsibility for things. Like, it's up to me to get more money. It's up to me to get these feelings. It's up to me to make another person have those feelings, or help them get what they want. If they're also kind of being codependent with life and they're on a mission to acquire something. Like for me, I am a real estate agent, and I was finding myself losing sleep and getting so caught up in my clients' goals to acquire a home or sell a home, that I was feeling responsible, like it was me buying or selling the home. And if something didn't go smoothly, or they were unhappy about something, or they didn't get the thing, like I would take that on myself and feel responsible. And then so I was exhausting myself. A lot of us that are kind of servant-hearted naturally are people pleasers. That's another word that comes up a lot with this behavior pattern, is that we're pouring ourselves out, and we've even gotten the message from the church or from just religion in general. You got to be a good person, and this is what a good person does, and this is what people want from you. Like, I thought I was doing and living the way I was supposed to. And then I was, of course, when you're dependent on and feel responsible for things outside of you that you really can't control, you're chasing your tail. It was the most, I couldn't see the forest for the trees though. I was so in it, and it's just such a part of my worldview that I couldn't see. I couldn't see a way out. I didn't know there was another way. As a parent, when my kids were hurt, Of course, I wanted to comfort them, but it was even more than that. It was like, I couldn't be okay unless everything was okay in their world. Are you all tracking with me? If anybody's tracking with me, there's a way out. It's hard work. There's a reason why a lot of people, when they find themselves in these patterns of behavior, and oftentimes it's pervasive in families of origin, like you learned it from probably your mother or father or grandma, or it's a pattern of behavior it's a generational curse that gets passed down. And that's what Paul's like, I know what this causes in people. It causes you to be captive and held hostage by the world. And I want you to be free. God wants you to be free. We need you to be, like, the kingdom needs you. And this is why things like this are of the enemy, because it is not healthy. It's not a healthy at all relationship with life at all, because it's impossible. It is impossible to ever be at peace when your peace, happiness, whatever words work for you, depend on somebody else's. We are the most moody people. And oftentimes when we get in these little toxic soups of relating with each other, the ego comes out. You might walk through the door having a bad day at work, and then here I am, maybe in the house, trying to make it just the perfect sanctuary and the perfect welcoming place for you. You come in a bad mood, and now I can't be happy because you're in a bad mood, even though I've done everything in my power and in my control to create a safe environment and a welcoming environment that would make people happy. But they still have a life outside of the home where things are happening, and they bring their people, they bring their moods home. But the codependent person wants everybody to be okay. And so then they have to stop being happy. Here they were, maybe they've made a good dinner and they've cleaned the house, and now a few moody people come home and they're like, oh, now I've got to. If feelings like that come up in you, oh, now I've got to go counsel this person, or now I've got to do this to make them feel better. See what we do to each other? And then on the opposite side, whenever there's an over-functioning person this way that is codependent, we create that in other people. Now, if you're somebody that is normally on the negative side of your relationship with life and moods and whatnot, you probably go around finding people to depend on to make you feel better. You don't have the power, you don't develop the internal characteristics to make yourself feel better. It works both ways, and we feed off of each other. And that's what Paul is talking about, that right here. Or we develop that relationship with, I can't be happy unless I have the right home, or for me, even living in the right town. I have been chasing the elusive, perfect place to live since I was a kid, and that's because that's what my dad was doing. And he was taking us and showing me the way of something is outside of you that will make things better, a place, when really it's all within. And if we can hold on to our agency and our relationship with God and our own worthiness, and realize we can be responsible to people, we can care for people, we can be concerned, but we don't take on the responsibility of their moods, their wants and desires, their abilities, capabilities to do or not do something. This is what Paul has kind of been building up to when he's talking about all of these, how to operate within a church and even individually, how you need to not judge, because judgment, again, takes on a responsibility for somebody. Now I've got to be responsible for your behavior and making sure you stay in line which again, that's another type of codependent behavior, really, when you drill down to it. And when we're free, we're able to respond. There's a difference. It's flipping the script. When I can free myself of being responsible for you, I can respond to you in a non-judgmental, healthy, loving, respectful way that allows you to still have agency in your life and feel whatever you need to feel, learn whatever you need to learn, go through whatever you need to go through. Sometimes those sufferings and those trials and hard times and challenges, for good or for the negative, quote unquote negative, maybe there really is no negative. It's all for our benefit. Like, we learn in the valleys. We become more of who we're supposed to be when we're challenged. But the desire is to not be challenged. Like, can't I just be happy all the time? Well, if you're happy all the time, again, back to paradox, happiness wouldn't even be a thing. It's the contrast of life that makes life worth living, and your valleys that make your peaks worthy and worthwhile, and peaks because you've been down low. But most of us kind of want to avoid all of those things, and by avoiding the lowest peaks and even stepping in and getting in the way of other people's lowest points or valleys, we're blocking all of us from the highest peaks that we could achieve. And we're staying here in neutral land, where the enemy, or where complacency or ego wants us to stay, safety and security. Let's just stay safe and comfortable, not challenge ourselves too much. But when you don't challenge yourself enough, you never really get to see what you're made of and what is possible on the peaks, what going to those highest peaks and seeing the view from up there. And that's okay. That's not for everybody. So I'm not trying to push anybody, and I'm just trying to get you to see honestly what this behavior, what Paul is trying to say here, and what this behavior does. It holds not only you captive, it holds other people captive. And then we're all just held hostage in this place, when we can be free to do more and free to truly live our own lives and therefore fulfill our own callings without having these this dependent relationship with life. It's not easy, but it's worth it. And I have a healthier marriage now because of it. We're genuinely happy versus being fake happy and really kind of being annoyed half the time, but not saying it because we don't want to have a fight kind of thing. Like, we're genuinely in a good place where he's free to be himself and do what he wants. I'm free to do what I want. And we come together and it works. And I'm doing that with my children too, my young adult children. I'm letting them go and spread their wings. They don't have to make me happy. And I don't have to make them happy. I can let them have struggles. I can let go and be free. And that, I'm telling you, is amazing. I was held hostage by codependency since I was a wee little girl, because I did the best I could with what I knew and what I was taught. And it's been a generational thing that's, I think, was in both of my parents' families coming down. But we get to rise up and wake up, rise and shine, wake up, own it, and be free. And that's what I'm choosing. I'm going to break those generational curses as much as I can. Now, I can't control, but I'm letting go. I can't control whether or not my children will grab onto that, or even my husband fully. And whatever happens down the line, I'm doing my best to set us all free, but it's not up to me. And I can rest in that as well. I'm doing the best I can. I have a clear conscience, and I'm learning and growing, and I'm open. and I want to spread this good news of freedom and love, which codependency creates that false love and false humility, all the false things that have just enough of the truth mixed in with them that we fall for it. We fall for falsehoods. All right. Have a great day. Rise and shine. Oh, right. 1 Corinthians chapter 7, codependency. Look it up for yourself. And again, Paul is writing from, yes, dependency on God, dependency on love. Paul, again, I think in the next couple of chapters at least, he's making it very clear, like, these are my opinions. You are not sinning if you do this or that. Here's just how I see it. I'm giving you my best message from what I'm learning. This is not a law from God, though. So do read these chapters with that caveat and that caution in mind, because we've already been given permission from God to be, like, we're each responsible for our own lives and our code of conduct. Yes, we do sort of have to agree communally to some things, but keep all that in mind with a critical mind, and especially what was good even for those folks thousands of years ago. We live in a much different world today, but that underlying message of codependency is timeless. All right. Have a great day.